Hi, welcome to She Spice. You realize Hollywood is essentially the focal point of amusement. It's where we get our number one motion picture television programs and where a portion of our most cherished stars sparkle. Yet we should not mess with ourselves underneath all that fabulousness and style. There's a genuinely cloudy side. One of the parts of Hollywood is the means by which it takes advantage of youthful gifts. We've all heard those harrowing tales about youthful entertainers being exploited by the business top dogs. And it's not simply bits of hearsay. These things truly happen. Take, for instance, Oprah Winfrey. Certain individuals guarantee she's important for this tip-top gathering that permits such an awful way of behaving to proceed with what's truly baffling. However, the means by which these accounts are frequently gotten over or not offered the consideration they merit Feldman is a perfect representation. This person has been standing up for a really long time about him and his companion. Corey Raffage endured when they were simply kids in the business, yet his cases were frequently overlooked or not treated in a serious way. Feldman has more than once said that he and Haim were youthful entertainers. In interviews, he's focused on how unnerving it was to say that kids are terrified and that the individuals who did this to him were individuals he believed were his companions. Say that the two individuals that did it to me were both close companions of mine, or so I thought. Feldman claims that Haim had it even more than he did in his book Movement. Feldman charges that Haim was R-phrased on the arrangement of the 1986 film Lucas, simply a year after their popular film, The Lost Young Men, emerged by Feldman. It was during the shooting of The Lost Young Men that both he and Haim experienced more of a Feldman demands that this was definitely not a very well-maintained essay. Many individuals realized what was happening but decided to remain quiet. It was the point at which we were both on the arrangement of Lost Young Men. Do you realize things were occurring to the two of us? Or did they know, and they just weren't making any kind of difference with it? I realize he let a lot of individuals know, and that's what's so disturbing to dislike. It's simply me who knows this story. Others realized that in 2013, Feldman showed up on The View and resolved that the culprits were still out there proceeding with their conduct. They're actually something else, and they're a portion of the RGA's generally strong individuals in this business. Yet, he said he was unable to name names as a result of California's legal time limit regulations. Feldman even gave explicit instances of how these worked, like how they would single out better-looking, more youthful children and take them to after-parties where unspeakable things happened. They would pull away the better-looking, more youthful children and save them for their own all-nighter. It would transform into a pool party, and afterward, they'd have their standards. Goodness, there's no bathing suit in the pool now. Someone else who has supported Feldman's cases is Elijah Wood. In an interview with the Sunday Times, Wood dropped some serious truth bombs about the commonality of Hollywood. Wood didn't keep down saying there are a great deal of snakes in this industry, individuals who just have their own advantages. As a primary concern, he brought up the upsetting reality that casualties frequently can't talk as noisily as the influential individuals hurting them. Wood depicted it as a shocking endeavor to uncover what's befalling blameless individuals who get crushed while their lives are hopelessly harmed. Wood proceeded to make sense of the fact that, in the event that you're guiltless and have close to zero familiarity with the world, you're anxious to succeed, which makes you a simple prey for those with parasitic interests. Fortunately, Wood credits his mom Deborah for shielding him from such circumstances. He wasn't a casualty since she protected him from the business' more obscure side anyway. He noticed that even as a grown-up, he's been driven down dull ways, understanding that these awful things are logical as yet happening. What Wood shared adjusts flawlessly with what Feldman has been talking about for quite a long time. Feldman additionally featured an upsetting example we've seen with strong figures like Harvey Weinstein, as indicated by Feldman. At whatever point somebody attempts to uncover a major name with a large chunk of change and power, the informer winds up looking terrible. Not the culprit from what I've seen each time someone attempts to raise a public name, and they have a truckload of cash and power and an exposure machine behind them. The individual who does the charging is the one that winds up looking terrible and discussing Harvey Weinstein on the off chance that you're not educated concerning the gross stuff he's been blamed for. We'll get into that pretty soon. However, one thing that is causing a commotion is the organization he kept sure karma has at last up to speed with Harvey yet. What about his companions? It's basically impossible that his nearby mates didn't have the foggiest idea what he was doing. Perhaps they were even important for it. One of Weinstein's best friends, who's getting a ton of side-eye these days, is Oliver Winfrey. We should discuss her show for a moment. For a really long time, Oprah was on television, acquainting a wide range of characters with her crowd. Some were genuine, however, others were truly problematic. She had everything from self-announced Marvel laborers to directly up crooks strutting across her stage. Oppo consistently turned it like she was revealing insight into themes and making a difference out of the standard people tuning in. Yet as time went on, it turned out to be certain that Oppo's fundamental spotlight was the appraisals she'd welcome on these crude characters, from swindlers to individuals guaranteeing they had superpowers, all for the sake of diversion. A portion of these visitors were out and out contemptible. John of God, for example, this person showed up on the Oprah show and was commended for his supposed recuperating powers. Quick forward a little, and he's presently serving almost 500 years in jail for a few serious violations that sure could at any point happen, quite possibly, to the most popular otherworldly seller on the planet, once in a blue moon converses with anybody on camera. John of God consented to plunk down with me under a mango tree on the grounds of the casa. We should make a plunge. In December 2018, claims of a by John of God, whose genuine name is Joan Shera de Farah, were advanced by 12 ladies. The quantity of cases prompted the arraignment office of the Condition of Goas to make an email address and telephone line to get all allegations against him in 30 hours. More than 200 protests were gotten from 9 distinct Brazilian states, and 2 cases from abroad were accounted for by the arraignment's office as having the potential to be the greatest sex outrage throughout the entire existence of Brazil. Overpowering the Roger Abdul Mesa case, claims incorporated the asserted of casualties as young as 14 years of age, as well as a lady who uncovered having been eyed for 3 days on the 11th of December, 4 days after the Conversa Kiel show. The quantity of article objections against Faria had arrived at 206, provoking him to restrict his arrangements at Casa and De Loyola, addressed by columnists. He just said, "I'm honest," and left on the 12th of December. The public examiner of Gua required the capture of Faria on the 16th of December. Faria gave himself over to the police, and the quantity of SA allegations bit by bit arrived at 600. The R word happened from 1986 to 2017. Farah's girl Dalva upheld the informers, calling her father a beast and claiming that she was beaten and R-phrased by him until she took off when she was 14 years of age. Faria was moved to a medical clinic from jail in WAC 2019. On December 19, he was sentenced to 19 years and 4 months for the ERW of 4 ladies. He is confronting extra cases connected with 10 Sikhs violations. He was set free from jail on house capture when the coronavirus pandemic struck in mid-2020 because of his age and chronic weakness, and Oprah gave this person a stage. Likewise, recall when Oprah gave a broadcast appointment to Monique's sibling Gerald, who's a sentenced criminal. Better believe it, the equivalent sibling who spent north of 10 years in jail for attempting Monique I did attack and improperly contact my sister in ways that were not happy for herself. And for that, I apologize. Please accept my apologies. Not in the least did Oprah put him on impact, yet she even caught unaware Monique by having their folks on the show as well. And get this, these were similar guardians who didn't accept Monique when she revolted against how Gerald treated her. Yet here's where it gets much more chaotic. Monique spilled the tea on the Club Shea digital recording, uncovering how her folks attempted to offer her story to Barbara Walters, and you understand what Barbara shut them down, remembering they were attempting to capitalize on Monique's injury, yet Oprah goodness she, without hesitation, seized the opportunity to welcome Gerald on her show. And when Monique faced her about it all, she got with some silly expression of remorse about on the off chance that I accomplished something wrong, and I imparted to Oprah Winfrey what we were going through and how I felt, and I was you realize you attempting to adjust it out in light of the fact that it's your mom, and I imparted that to you, and I imparted to her my family. What the dynamic was, and you feel that that is simply okay, and the way you attempt to apologize before a gathering of lady on the off chance that you figure I've done anything off base, and that is not even the portion of it Monique's likewise called Operation out for dark and is attempting to swipe her jobs currently. Monique has been on this campaign, getting down on Lee Daniels and Oprah Winfrey for what she sees as them meddling with her vocation. She's been preparing for a really long time, but as of late, she drops some serious tea on Club Shay. Monique drops a stunner about how Oppo purportedly grabbed up jobs that were intended for her, like recollecting the head servant. No doubt it should be hers, or so she says. Lee Daniels clearly offered it to her, yet when Oppo communicated revenue, well, you can think about who wound up with the part mo. At the time, I didn't have any influence and I didn't have any cash. So when Oprah said she needed it, who played the lead job in The Steward? Oprah Winfrey, and it doesn't stop there. Lee Daniels had this biopic in progress about Richard earlier, and think about who. Subscribe She Spice for more videos.